So I've been asked to speak on aspiration, but I am open to any other subject which you may want. So anyone has aspiration for some other subject? Otherwise we can speak on aspiration, or if you have any questions, so that we have it more natural and organic. Of course, aspiration is the key.
I would like to listen about rejection also.
Okay. That's part of the process. Okay. So let's start with aspiration. And so, man's momentous change from the animal life is when he discovered the fire. This is known. Almost 4 lakh years back, we discovered fire just when the new species, the latest Homo sapiens erectus came. It changed the human life completely. It is known as one of the most important discoveries. And something very similar, or actually same, though at another level, applies to discovery or awakening to the fire of aspiration. Aspiration, very simply, is the urge to go further. In Hindi, the word is very simple, Agni. It's in Sanskrit also. Russian also has a very similar word. They use the word Agun. Same thing in Persian. This is a very common word. And Agni means that to move forward. Agni, Age. Age is a Hindi word. It implies the power that propels you forward. So even in ordinary life, we see that fire has the power to propel things forward. Like nothing else. Actually, fire, wind, everything can propel you forward. But fire has the ability to take you across beyond the stars. Of course, the nature of fire will be different. So, Agni is that power, that energy given to man, which ignites in him the urge for progress. Very simply. It's there in human beings. Without Agni, human beings are as good as dead. So there has to be this fire which marks us, differentiates us from the animal life. In animal life, you are satisfied with whatever is there. And in early stages of human development, there is a kind of satisfaction with whatever one has. It sounds very nice, but it's not very good from the progress point of view. Because unless you have the urge for something more, there will not be progress. So, this urge for progress is what is aspiration. Now, here comes the distinction between what are the kinds of progress that we can undertake. There is the progress which is about quantity. We want more money, more houses, more cars. Now, this urge for more is called as desire. So, there is a difference between desire and aspiration. So, desire is the urge for more in terms of quantity. Aspiration is when we want to improve the quality. And it applies even in the most outward element, what we call as ambition. There is the urge to improve the quality. This improvement in quality can also be at two levels. One is outwardly. A person who joins as let's say a clerical post wants to become an officer, his quality of life will improve. He wants to improve the quality of life. But this is an outward improvement because inwardly he may remain the same human being. And his tendencies, his mentality, his fears, his greed, all this will remain the same. So this is one kind of improvement. And the other improvement is where we change within. So this is the difference. Ambition is where we want external improvement. We have a bigger house, we have more bank balance, we have, better facilities, amenities. And aspiration is where we want to improve who we are as a person. So wherever there is an urge for inner improvement, for whatever reason, It may come from within because, well, we have reached a point where we realize that life is very, very imperfect and this world has very little to offer. There is a line in Savitri where Sri Aurobindo writes, all is too little that the world can give. And whatever it is, there comes a point, and some people are fortunate enough to understand it very early. They understand, they have not experienced in this life, but certainly they have this instinctive sense that even if I get everything at the end of the day, there are beautiful movies made on this. There was a movie called Pyasa, Guru Dutt movie. So it's ultimately about the awakening of aspiration in a man who has sought fame. Guru Dutt movie. So he's Pyasa, that's the whole thing. And at the end of the movie, there is a song with which the movie closes. ये दुनिया अगर मिल भी जाए तो क्या हो? Even if I get this world, so what? So he, of course, goes through a painful experience. When he gets success, he realizes. But you have to go through that. You have not striven for.
He rejects it.
Huh? He rejects it.
I'm
That's,
not that Vijay.
yes. He says, I am changed inside, though he gets success. Now, this is different from, somebody who says, oh, this is useless, this is nonsense. You have to go through that phase where you take the challenge of life. And then there comes a time where you realize the limitations of what life has to offer. All is too little that the world can give. Its knowledge and power are the gifts of time and cannot fill the spirit's secret thirst. So there we come to what is it that we are truly seeking. There comes a time when we have things or we can have things, but something is showing us inside, like in light, that this is not enough. What is it that we are seeking? Are we happy? Okay, everything may be fine. Family may be very nice and as nice as a family can be, okay. And we may have a big house and things like that. But there is something else which is seeking inside. So there one sees that all is too little. Its power and knowledge are the gifts of time. There is a story in the the Kathopanishad where Yama tells Nachiketa that I'll give you everything that you want. It's by mistake that you have come to me. It's not your time. Go back. He says, I am not here to go back. My father has given me to you. I want to be here. I want to now take this opportunity or a challenge. So he says, no, you go back. I'll give you this, that, 100 things. He says, what will I do with these things? Will they last forever? He says, no, there is nothing like that which will last forever. He says, then I don't want it. So at the end, he wants the secret of immortality. This is the most beautiful treatise on the sacred fire, the aspiration. If you want to read in the basic books of Upanishads, it's the Kathopanishad. It's all about that inner fire, the fire of aspiration. So he says, okay, first he tests him, whether he really wants it or not. And then he says it's rare because it's not found even in the gods. Even the gods don't have it. Why gods don't have it? Very strange. Gods are content with their splendor. Life divine, Sri Aurobindo says. The gods are content with their splendor. Animal with its modicum of necessities. He is hungry, he gets food. He wants to have a baby or whatever, that he is satisfied. After that he sleeps. He doesn't go to school, he doesn't have a degree to accomplish. But man is the most dissatisfied of all creatures. And that's why he is the greatest, for he alone can be seized by a frenzy to arrive at the highest. This is the beauty of man. But before he arrives at that frenzy, there are many powers which will take him to the side. These powers which take away they steal sometimes the fire of aspiration. They divert the fire of aspiration, because you mentioned about rejection. This is where rejection will come. So they will say, what do you want? You want God. Okay, why do you want God? Well, see, life is so uncomfortable. I want some happiness in life. Okay, we'll give you. Come, take a green card visa to US. We'll give you whatever you want. So, they are powers which distract us, take us away. They are called as robbers in the Vedas. Why they are robbers? Because they steal the most important thing. There's a whole movie made on this. Of course, it's a symbolic movie made on Rudyard Kipling's story. And it's about this fire which man discovers. And the animals, the moment man discovered fire, it was a tremendous leap. Animals, he's different. Animals don't know anything about fire. They are afraid, very afraid. So they started keeping away. So this fire itself keeps away many things. See, it has a power of rejection inbuilt within it. If true aspiration awakens, you cannot be satisfied with anything less than the divine. True aspiration. If it is simply something external that one goes to a temple and does puja for getting something, then easily, I was seeing today's, every day something or the other you see. And it's quite a sight. People go to temple. So they are going because they want something. Now if an asura comes and tells them, I'll give you all this, oh, okay. You will change your religion, you will change your parents, you will change everything. Because you are not going for anything higher. You are going for something very, you may go to temple to ask money, somebody gives you money, says stop believing, you will be happy. Say, I have got what I wanted. That's not aspiration. Aspiration has nothing to do with an external ritual process. I may do all the pujas, but deep within I may be wanting not the Shreyas but the Preyas. That's how the Nachiketa Samvad puts it. Nachiketa is offered all these things. He says, I don't want that. I want that which is permanent, that which is eternal, that which you cannot touch, you cannot take away. I want that. Then Yama says, okay, you are asking for something which is there in the heart. That's one of the rare Upanishads where the psychic being is mentioned. Angushtmatra, yes. Which is a size, being no bigger than the size of thumb. Another Upanishad speaks about it passingly, Svetashvatar. And it speaks about, like a little antaha sharire jyotirmayo hi shubhra. This is the fire which we are out to discover. And when it is discovered, it brings a drastic change in our human life. Just as the outer fire created a drastic change in our outer life, we discovered sources of energy which an animal world cannot conceive. Even if you want water energy to its ultimate, you have to turn it into steam. What do? Use fire. If you want electrical energy, it's also fire ultimately. Otherwise, it just remains dormant. So, fire is that which can really gives us the impulsion to move forward. That's why there is the Sanskrit word is Agni, Age. Age is to move forward. That's what human beings are meant to be. So, the question is, it's not something we can imagine. You may tell a human being that, you must aspire for the divine. You cannot. You cannot ignite that fire until the time has come. One may go to temple, church, mosque, convert religion by the go. You are still a dead person. Without aspiration, a person is regarded as good as dead. If you read the scriptures. Why? Because he's just like another, creatures from the planet. And naturally, nature does a lot to awaken the aspiration. A lot of problems that come in life, which we think are some papa and punya and all that, is actually to awaken it. Nature is pushing us, crushing us, showing us the transience of all material gifts. But hardly anybody is like Nachiketa, who will say, okay, fine, I have understood. Now I seek the divine. It will not. It will continue to push. Maybe I'll get it. And all the Jyotishis, they will feed this thing into you. Okay, you can get it after 2.5 years, 7 years. They're not helping the aspiration. Many people in the temples, here, there, everybody will. Or sometimes they will say otherworldly gift. You blow yourself up and you get a place in heaven. It's the same stupidity. What you cannot get here, because here promising is a little dicey thing. You want somebody to die. So after death, I'll give you a post-mortem heaven. And there are fools who believe it because they are looking for nothing but some kind of a happiness. So aspiration is not born readily. One has to reach a point through lives. And when that fire is lit, then nothing can stop. That's the most important thing. That marks the transition. That is called initiation. It's not some master giving us. Yes, master is a great help. But aspiration is initiation into yoga. Because now once that is lit, whatever we may get outwardly, it will never completely satisfy us. We'll keep on returning. Now when the fire is lit, we have to take care of it. If it's very small, it may get covered by smoke. So all desires are like smoke that covers the fire. So if we want aspiration to grow to its fullest, we have to be wholeheartedly feed that. Constantly. Because otherwise desires will cover it. It's there. Once lit, it cannot die. But they will be caught up in a double life, which is very much more unhappy. Because you are neither able to move up, nor you are able to get this. And because desire's nature is like that, anybody who has lived a little bit understands. Desire is a fuel that burns the body. It doesn't give you what you are really seeking. You will get what you want, but you will be still unhappy. And you'll think probably if I get something else, I'll be happy. But it goes on, okay? Young people, don't worry. You have to learn all this at your own time, okay? But at least it's good to have a background.
See, everyone wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Yeah. And some of them want to die and blow up a whole lot of people around.
Yes.
So aspiration is so special, such a treasure. And if it is lit, one should safeguard it. And rejection and all this is part of the process of safeguarding this fire. It's so precious. More precious than anything else. And if you look at the life of people, even the aspiration just to progress outwardly, ultimately this aspiration means the highest, the divine, from whom we are apparently separated because of the darkness. There cannot be ever any real separation, but it gives us, because there is darkness, I cannot see the person right there, so we cannot see the divine. So aspiration is like a fire that lights up. It's not happy just to discover divine nearby. It wants to discover the divine in everyone, everywhere. That's how it grows.
I think we should, every day one should read Kabir's Dua
Yes.
on this.
There are plenty of them. One of them is Jo ghar phooke aapna chale hamare saath.
और दुख में सिमरना.
That is one. And the other one is that, Kabira khada bazaar mein, liye look kulhadi haath. Jo ghar phooke aapna chale hamare saath. So there are plenty of them. So basically it's that aspiration for the highest, a fire which is taking us upward. And initially one has to protect it. To protect it, one has to be careful of everything from the point of view of what kind of company one keeps, what kind of group life one has, because it immediately douses it. Anybody who has awakened to aspiration knows that what happens when you go for a marriage. Even your own marriage, which is worse, but sorry. Okay, go through the experience, then you should. But I am just saying that it completely, you have to study, self-study. You don't need to read the book, you will know it. It's like giving initially some joy. After some time, the joy turns bitter. So, then nowadays options have been created. So you search for that joy here, there, elsewhere. Still bitter. At the end of day, if one has not understood this early on, then by the time you are like someone applied to Sri Aurobindo, I am 60, I have done everything, now I want to come to the ashram. He sent an application. Sri Aurobindo said it's time to apply for the graveyard. That's when you have punarapi janamam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jatare shayanam. So that's tragic if you look at it from the deeper perspective, because you could have, aspiration is the fire that can take you to the highest possibility. But a life spent only in cooking a meal, or a life spent only in earning money, looking after, that animal does. What is the difference? Okay, we do it with a little more finish, but that's it. Instead of cooking a meal, we can go to a big hotel and have food. So that's where the aspiration is so special and sacred. So in the beginning, one must feed it. To feed aspiration, there are beautiful books, Swadhyaya, Satsang, things like this are meant to feed the aspiration. But we spend time in gossiping. So rejection automatically is coming from here. Whatever will diminish the fire of aspiration has to be rejected. Sometimes even somebody close to you. What did Mirabai do? She was so moved by this idea that, I want Krishna. And her own husband says, no, I'll make a little place for you. But eventually she moves out. She cannot be just satisfied. So aspiration doesn't awaken in everyone because it can completely set your life topsy-turvy. It's such a tremendous power. It's the power if you want to. So this power is given when man is somewhat ready. There is no external way you can. The external way is go and meet a master. Meet people who are awakened, who carry the fire. Read books which have the fire. One day it will ignite. That moment is left to the divine. But once that happens, you are finished. Then one has to preserve the fire. Every day you have to go and see it. This is the Akhand Jyoti. That's what in olden times people used to do this with outer fire because they didn't know. It was a very cumbersome process, no? To ignite with that iron something, you ignite and then it will burn. So once they would burn, they would make sure that it goes on. Night after night, they discovered it's a most powerful tool. But inner fire, we have to feed every day. So meditation, concentration, when one goes within, feeds the fire. How do you feed the fire? Best is taking the divine name. That which you are seeking, reminding oneself, that's what I want. Nothing short of that. So when we take divine's name, when we seek the highest, or simply we call divine qualities like peace, light, strength. So all these divine qualities, then this fire, love for the mother, for the divine, then this fire gets awakens. You have to give it food, like any fire. If you give it poison food, like we see in the story of Krishna, who is the first asura which comes? If I remember, it is Putana. Poor fellow has just come, little chit of a baby. And Putana comes and says, I'll see how deceptive this world can be, how one has to be so conscious. It takes the form of a mother. Just like Yashoda it comes and enters the hut and wants to feed the baby. Baby says, now that baby is Krishna. If aspiration is so developed, see, Krishna's story is the story of this inner divine growing through aspiration. Then nothing can harm. But yes, it can take you away like Trinavrat, all the story of Shri Krishna we see, It's about the journey of that inner fire as it grows. A time comes when it has to enter into the cosmic dimension. It has to slay the ego of Kansa. It helps us escape from the prison of ignorance. If you read Krishna's story, Kaliya Daman, subconscientist tames the subconscious. All this is entirely the story of the inner aspiration. I am not saying Krishna is not real. He is very, very real. More real than all of us. But I am just saying that the story itself, as we see in the Bhagavad, is the story of the aspiration climbing upward. And then all nature begins to align itself. It's not enough that the aspiration grows. What if the nature contradicts? What does one do? Because we don't have only this aspiration. No, aspiration is the fire which burns in the soul. ambition, desire are mimicking it. They are trying to take us away. And if you listen to them, well, for a long time, there are instances where it's the tragedy. It is called as the tragedy of inner death, where you are carried away by all kinds of desire and ambition, far, far away from the true aspiration. That's why it's so special. One has to nurture it. So, how to nurture it? These kind of meetings, swadhyaya, satsang, self-reading, meditation, concentration, remembrance of the divine, doing works as an offering to the divine, not letting the desire take over us. So work done as nishkam karma automatically feeds the aspiration. Works done in service of the divine, not for becoming someone great, special. So when we do that, we take care of the fire, and this fire is the one which becomes the leader of the journey. So it is Agun, Age, which takes us forward. It is, if you go to the Puranic legends, it is Lord Murga, Kartikeya. Kartikeya is the fire of aspiration. He is the leader of the gods, Deva Senapati. And as he moves, the army of gods follows him. Because he is the leader of that journey. He has to take the ultimate challenges. Tarka, Sur and all these. He is the warrior god. So this fire of aspiration is like a warrior. Once awakened, it will never give up. Once it develops, of course, the journey from that little spark to the Deva Senapati is a journey. But once that happens, no fire, no danger, no death, nothing can cut short that walk. But till then, one has to take care of it. After it has developed into a proper fire, it doesn't matter where you are, with whom you meet, where you are. Then you can be anywhere in the world. It's like Swami Vivekananda when someone told to Sri Ramakrishna, he drinks alcohol, we have heard, and he quietly takes meat. What did Sri Ramakrishna? Oh, Narendra! Even if he is sitting with all the pretty women in the world, and even if he is drinking alcohol and eating meat, he will convert them. That's a story, real story. And it's true that he would drink meat, he was not a drunkard. If somebody gave him some wine, he could take it. He ate meat. If somebody cooked, he was not attached to meat that I have to, I must have meat. No, if somebody gave him, according to his Bengali sensibility, he could take it. When he went abroad, most of the disciples who gave him money were women. They were fascinated by him. But could anyone come anywhere near Swami Vivekananda? That was his inner capacity. This fire, but one has to be clear, when it develops to that point, then you are nothing but a raging inferno. But before that, it has to be taken care. So the strange paradox which reminds of this part, maybe with that we could stop. When Swami Vivekananda used to take hookah, hookah is smoke. When Swami Vivekananda started the monastery, one of the rules which was to be strictly followed was no smoking and no hookah. Now, if somebody would say, why are you doing it? He would say, well, you can't imitate me. Sri Aurobindo would smoke cigar, and there was a time when mother said, sir, the youngsters don't understand the difference. Oh, is it? Left it. Next moment is gone. There's no attachment. Their aspiration has taken you to the highest seat. Divine is Sarva Bhoktaram. Shri Krishna on the battlefield is absorbing all the armies. It doesn't matter. But the journey from this teeny weeny fire, chinna fire, little fire, to that point is the whole human journey. And that journey takes place through sacrifice. It is the work of works, the ascent of aspiration from our little chinna, little state when it has to be safeguarded. Places like ashram are meant to safeguard it. To a point where you could be on the battlefield, Sarva Bhoktaram, whole of Kaurava army he has slain and he is absorbing all of it inside. And Arjun says, who are you? He says, I am time the destroyer. Kalosmi. Now that is the journey. It starts from here because fire destroys. It's its property to destroy. It will destroy all that is evil. When it becomes the cosmic fire, it will destroy all that is evil in the world. Its presence can destroy. But initially, you have to safeguard it. You can't say, okay, I am going to play the destroyer because I have seen that movie. What was that? Doctor Strange. You will, don't be a fool. Wait, when the time comes, Mother herself will give this work if one is meant for it. So it's a whole journey from a small little fire. The spark is in everybody, but a spark is like a log of woods in which it is just a little spark. Everybody has something of this spark. And if the wood is wet, then the spark throws up a lot of smoke. Takes a long time to light up. That's why a lot of preparatory practices in spiritual life are meant to help this spark to really ignite. So this log of wood which is wet, many things, too much emotionality, too much weaknesses of the flesh, all this that's why we see in Ramayana that wherever yagya is taking place, all these asuras are coming and pouring wine and all kinds of things. Meaning thereby that those who are doing the yagya, they are quietly, Arey, come, nearby there is a nice Tevan. That's why you see Pondicherry has been chosen by Sri Aurobindo. You have the divine and you have the wine. Both are easily available. You have the dining room food and you have every kind of cuisine in the world. I think it is there in Pondicherry. All within your arm's reach. Because aspiration grows through conscious choices. One has to choose. And then as one chooses, one offers the yagya. It's like does yagya, offering all one's works and everything, eating, sleeping, everything. If you remember the divine and offer to him, to her, then this fire grows. And when it grows, a time comes when it becomes Vaishwanar. One man's perfection still can save the world. It becomes a cosmic fire.
After that, to contain that, because it burns.
Yes, so then that's why the mother wants us all to do strong in the body, strong in the mind, because if it grows, because it doesn't, then the fire doesn't follow any mental norms. It has its own criteria. It's not like people say, oh, you are above sin and virtue, that means you can do anything. No, the choice that this will make is very different. It's like Arjun. He didn't want to slay his own people. Very good choice. Somebody will say, oh good, you believe in family values, very good, Arjun. I am glad. It was a little test. I have taken you in the middle of the battlefield. You have chosen the family, you are a wonderful person. That's not what, even Tulsidas, what does he say? Jaake priyana ram baidehi, so chhadiye taj koti beri sam jadapi param sanehi. Bali guru tajo vibhishan bandhu bharat mehtari. He gives example of those who for the sake of the divine leave everything that comes in the way. So, but that takes time. Till then one has to be conscious, one has to be vigilant. When it has grown up, then it will automatically, then you make a choice based on what will carry yourself and the world closer to the divine march of mankind, as the Gita says, Lok Sangrahart, or what will take individual and the life of a nation or of a continent civilization away from the divine. That becomes your choice. So it opens doors to a new choice based on the divine. It's not the usual choice of moral choices. Moral choices will say, listen to parents. But what if the parent is Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra? These are dilemmas which nowadays will come because now this fire is growing in people. This is the new revolution which is going unnoticed. See, all these children here, all of them. Sign that, this, many places I have seen, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 10-year-old. Amazing, this aspiration. Because we are entering into an age of new revolution, spiritual evolution. And it's not being visible because on the surface Mr. President has made tariffs. All this is just the surface storm. But what is happening now It's something unprecedented. That's why it's the most special thing, which has to be guarded, nurtured, nourished, and developed.
Trump doesn't know what is happening to him.
He is just a tool. He is creating chaos. Sometimes chaos is very creative. Okay, so this is the background. Now we can have questions as you wish. Yes.
You mentioned twice about the Yajna fire. So aspiration fire, Yajna fire.
Same. Aspiration fire is the yagya fire. Outside yagya is has been kept like in India. You have the outer reading of the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. Okay, I am maybe on the verge of offending some sensibilities, but you may read Ramayana, Mahabharata for all your life. Do you realize Krishna? You may do Gita Path. Do you realize Krishna? Now, yet that is important because it keeps that thing alive in the mind of the race. So the mind of the race, it is kept alive. There is an external ritual going on, fire. This is always the problem between the Vedvadins, the ritualistic, and the Jnanvadins or the knowers. This has always been there. And Sri Krishna says very clearly, one who has realized the divine within, the light of Vedas is nothing but it's like a little lamp. But it's important for the mass of humanity. If you tell the mass of humanity it's all inside, so the mass of humanity lights up a fire every day, does the ritual. For that time he takes a bath, nicely sits, recites some mantras, probably little bit meditates also on that. If not meditates, by the very fact he is reciting Om Bhurvuva Swa Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yanno Satyen. Oh, I have gone on to Sri Aurobindo's Gayatri. Deepayet. Yanna Satyena Deepayet. That is Sri Aurobindo's Gayatri. Om Tat Saviturvaram Rupam Jyotihi Parasya Dhimahi Yannaha Satyena Deepayet. So, this mantra helps you to, it's like a reminder. So, to that extent, but reminder is a reminder. Every day morning I may be reminded that I have to do this work. Then I'll put on the clock and go about my own way. So, external ritualistic practices have their place. But to believe that that's all that is being taught, that rishis are doing, lighting the fire and the asuras are coming, doing ho 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 and pouring wine and putting out the fire is to miss the point. They don't have to do that. If you read the Ramayana, there's the description. They're pouring wine, they are pouring smoke. This is a very complicated way to ignite, to destroy the fire. So it is about the inner fire.
How to protect, is it in our hand to protect completely?
It's part.
The world is so...
Yes. This is our task. Of course, divine will be there to help us. But if we say, I don't care, then it doesn't work. So divine help is there. But even calling the divine is part of our dharma. Ma, 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 ma. When one is going into the world, one is feeling drawn. It will happen. Everybody has to go through this challenge of protecting the fire. Choices will come, suggestions will come.
Exactly.
Go there. Oh, that's so wonderful. That time one has to remember. Remind oneself, I am here for the mother. Anything which is taking me away from her. And these suggestions come very strongly. Every sadhak has to fight till he reaches that point where mother becomes his very breath. So one has to be conscious, one has to be vigilant. That's how one protects the fire. Like in olden times, whenever you have the fire is burning, there were people who were around because they had to keep it whole night, because it was a necessity. So somebody will keep awake. Now in our homes it is like there are some festivals where you have to light up the fire and the fire has to remain. Navratri, and there are some others where you have much shorter version. So what happens? Somebody keeps awake to make sure that the fire is burning. But basically it's a lesson for the inner life, that to remain alert and vigilant. So this is the task given to man. Of course, when we try to do it, we'll fail, but then the divine helps. But if you say, I don't care, then obviously it's a different thing. There is the divine help. But we have to do our bit too. It's just that we treasure that fire, we value that fire. That's all that is required. All this rejection comes as part of that process. Old friends will come, suddenly they will appear everywhere, including Pondicherry.
Relatives.
Yeah, relatives are the most dangerous. Thank you. Relative. I use the word relative. They come and suddenly they expect, no, sir, this life is different. Fine.
In Marathi we call nati goti.
Ah, yes.
Those who bring you in gote mein dalte wo nati.
Bilkul, I agree with you. And you have to face all this everywhere. You have to face it here. Suddenly your school batchmate will suddenly appear. Heard about you, I have come, I want to meet you. I say, okay, in the evening I'll see, maybe I'll take out half an hour, 45 minutes. Feels bad, but I have to, my job is to make mother happy, not him happy.
But the old friend who was very close to him, when he sees him now, after 40, 45 years, and he is very disappointed.
Yes.
This fellow is not the same.
Yes. And some get disappointed, some actually appreciate and understand. So fortunately, my friends who came like that, and they felt happy that, okay, you are committed to whatever you have decided. That's what life is about. You are committed to what you have decided. I give this example. You are having a khushi job, you will not, if supposing I go, and I say, okay, you take holiday 3 days and we'll roam around, you will see your conveniences. Because you have your own goals. I have my own goal. I should be, concerned about that goal. It may sound selfish, but that's how spiritual life proceeds. In the beginning, it is like that, but it's something very special. You have been given a treasure. You have to preserve it. You don't start showing, see, come, you want to take it for a home for a few days. No. Then later on, yes, there comes a time when the treasure is embedded within you. You become the treasure wherever you are. Then nothing is required. But there is a passage, generally considered at least 12 years, when one has to be conscious, struggle, vigilant, and at least the fundamental issues are sorted out. After that, issues still come, but because you are rooted deep inside, then no problem. In ashram, this used to be the common refrain. When people would come and say, I want to do sadhana, I want to do yoga, okay, 1 year you just stay, after that we will see. Do the job which is given to you. This used to be told by all the sadhaks. We'll see after 1 year. We see that same thing in Prashna Upanishad. When the rishis go and they ask about the truth, the rishi Pippaladi says, 1 year you stay, hold on. After 1 year I'll take up your questions if they are still there. So, then when you have stayed sufficiently, you are rooted, then the door opens wide and you have the motor car, difficulties will come. That's part of earth nature.
These days, the people who want to come and join the ashram, first statement is that I have all my tasks in the world are.
That we talked about.
And now I'm free to
Join. Yeah.
look towards God. But that fellow has been waiting for me for many long years. Now I have the time to do something. And after 3 months, the same person comes on the 20th of February saying she is going to Chennai for some shopping. I said, 20th of February, tomorrow is the darshan. Yes. We never came back.
No, so that's why this is the difference. Aspiration versus a religious approach. Aspiration marks the spiritual journey. Otherwise, a lot of people connect with God. You see all these temples there, and everywhere people will be there. But that's not aspiration. Aspiration is a special phenomena. When the fire takes you upward, vertical, towards the divine, toward the source, toward the goal. When you want things of worldly interest, that's not aspiration, that's desire, which is commonly confused as aspiration. But that desire, that has its own role. People go to God and ask something, which is fine. No, nothing wrong with that. But one should know the difference.
But they go and demand from God.
Yeah.
Not a prayer.
So either way, you are okay. This is allowed because Arth and Artharthi are allowed as your initial, but very clearly the Gita makes the distinction. This is different from the Jigyasu and the Jnani. So Jigyasu is when aspiration has been lit, and the Jnani is when it is rooted deep inside. After that, there is no end to the disclosure of the divine in so many ways. Any other question? Anyone? And since we have spoken of aspiration and rejection, we must speak of surrender, the third aspect. So we must always know that in the beginning it looks like it's the aspiration in you and you don't think of surrender. I remember I was in Bikaner. That's when Sri Aurobindo had come, must be around 24. And before that, whatever reading was going on, and I would feel constantly this fire, day and night. And that time I was reading a lot of Swami Vivekananda. And it was like, this fire. I couldn't think that there is something called a surrender. But the fire was so intense that nothing else would matter. Later on, a time comes when mother comes and you realize journey is not, this is just an initial testing ground. When the real journey begins, then challenges come in life. And then surrender is so important because, you realize that it's not just within our hands. There are plenty of things which will happen, which I can't even describe. It's a long list which can take us here, there, everywhere. There are people who have suddenly been, I want a technique which can, suddenly after some years, suddenly they want a technique which can make me realize God within few days. I say there are plenty like that. You pay some money, you will realize it. That's different. Divine doesn't do that business.
A lot of so-called devotees are constantly looking for shortcuts.
Yes, that's true. So that's why it is so rare. Yet they are allowed. It's not like, and Mother herself said that. In the ashram itself, they are just about 5% who are really, because this is allowed. It's a stage. So one has to allow that phase when you are not really having the conscious aspiration. You want to turn to God for as an artharthi. It's fine. In distress, it's fine. But one must know the difference between this, which is primarily a religious approach, and the spiritual approach where Sarva Bhuvan mein.
How do we surrender, as you said?
Huh?
Surrender, how do we surrender?
Yes. How to surrender? First start is that open everything, don't conceal anything from the divine. Surrender means now this is yours. So first we have to tell him. He is a very funny fellow. He knows, but he will ask. Because he allows freedom. He knows. And we cannot, if we believe we can hide from him, he knows everything. But he'll behave as if he doesn't know. You'll feel, so nice, I could get away with this. No, he knows. He knows every doing. So might as well tell him that, look here, this is what I am doing. Like typical stories of Girish and Sri Ramakrishna. He said, I like what you say, but I can't do all this surrender, etc. He said, why? He said, no, I can't leave anything. So he had every possible thing which you can imagine, from drinking and he was in drama, to eating, to still further. So Sri Ramakrishna says, who is telling you that you leave anything? Oh, I can continue with everything. Yes, only thing is offered to me before you do. He said, that's all. He said, yes. He said, okay. So he offers, I am going to drink. Come. And he offers to Sri Ramakrishna inwardly. You also drink. Then he says, what am I doing? He became so. Then he is going to a woman and he says, come. He says, what am I doing? I am calling him for this. So, because automatically there is an association of the sense of the beautiful, of the sacred. Even there, if one can really remain so conscious, there are so many instances, at least the letters in Mother and Sri Aurobindo's, who was this lady who had come here, and she went through a strange experience where she was married and husband wanted the usual stuff and she was not keen, but then she surrendered to Mother. She said, it's no more in my hands. And she had an experience of the self. There is a letter like that. And I've seen the letter in original where she writes, how can I have that experience during such a state? But her state was very different. She had given to the mother, she was thinking of mother. So it's not just the outer thing, but the inner state. You can't use it like a technique, of course. It is the inner state that matters in spiritual life. So there are situations in which we are tied. That's why Shri Krishna says in the Gita, he says that even a woman who is tied by 100 bonds, or a person who is the lowliest of the low, even they, if they call my name, very quickly I take them up and they have to be regarded as a saint. These are words of Shri Krishna. So remembering the divine is the simplest way to feed the fire of aspiration. Automatically it is his food. So it has to be fed. Yes.
Is it that we do the surrender or she makes us to get surrender?
Surrender is our joy. Well, if you take it, ultimately she will take you to that point where you have no choice left. Like that fellow, what is his name? Richard Dawkins. So I had a couple of exchanges with some of his disciples. I used to call disciples because he is an astute, absolute non-believer. And he would explain everything based on pure physics. Where is the need for God? And I had some exchanges back and forth. One of his students and ardent followers. So at one point he got totally cheesed off. He said, well, you have an answer for everything, but that's not how it works. I said, that's the most fallacious argument. If you have an argument, you give an argument. He got very annoyed. Increasingly anger started building. Now the latest thing is, this man goes to one of the churches, famous churches, because he's developed a spine problem. He's grown old. That Dawkins fellow, not the disciple. He says, after all, at some point you have to believe in something, some God, something, and he goes for that reason. So, but you have to understand that surrender is something you may be pushed to that. When you're faced with a wall, you just don't know what to do. I have known people who have been faced with such a wall that at the end they say, "Acha, ye bhi kar lete hain, let me do this." But why take that journey? Still, you have to take that. Even you are pushed, but that ultimate thing that, okay, I surrender myself, you have to do that. So surrender is a process which individual has to do. It's his joy. I would say prerogative. Thank God the divine has not snatched it away. Certain things which give us also joy. Playing, he plays with us. So he loves, okay, have you surrendered? Oh, this is not yet surrendered. It's a great joy. So it's also a process where first you become aware of what is to be surrendered.
The easiest way to surrender is when you get a good beating.
Good beating. Yeah, I know. But best is to understand, to hide nothing from the divine. Most important is because we have, that's where the problem of religion comes. God is in a church or a mosque or a temple or in a cupboard where, or there is a fixed time with him. Then don't come out because I am going to do my stuff. So religion creates this veil between us and the divine. So it's important at one stage. I am not against religion, but I am just saying it's not the same as spirituality. And don't have any veils, whatever one may be doing. Share with her. Mother, this what? See, the mud in which I have gone, she will rescue you. But if you say, no, I am not in the mud, somebody pushed me, it's not my fault, she'll say, okay. Enjoy the mud till one day you will understand that you got into it. So you have to take that responsibility for yourself. That's important. Okay, so.
Recent video that you posted on Orma says the progress has to be long and slow.
Yes.
Without that, it is not integral.
Yes. Because if it is it's like when you have to bake something. If you bake too quickly, then it's unripe. So he sees us, puts back into his oven. If you bake too much, too delayed, then it gets burnt. So there is a right combination. Steadily one has to walk on the path. Steadily. That's the word.
Hold her hand.
Holding her, held by her. But still we have to walk. Shri Krishna will drive the chariot, but you have to fight your battle. Which would imply losses, it will imply several things. Through all this, not once, you see, it's amazing, the Mahabharata. Once after Abhimanyu, for a moment, but nowhere else, he says, but I thought you are God, what is this happening to? Not once. He has to do a job. And Madhav is with him. He has made a choice. Please be with me. That's all I want. And Arjun sticks to that. That's something very beautiful. He doesn't say, why so many of my people are dying? I think you are God. Why is it at the end only 18 survive?
His own son.
Yes.
But one question he asks Krishna, that when Abhimanyu dies, and his wife is, Abhimanyu's wife is crying, and he turns to Krishna and says, what should I tell her?
Yeah,
Abhimanyu is not dead.
Otherwise, that's the surrender. Because battle you have to fight. Because through battle we become ready. Why doesn't the divine give everything immediately? We are not ready. We will not be able to receive it. We will throw it away. We won't even value it. So we have to go through our own choices. Based on the choices, the path opens. Most important is go through the choices, right choices, wrong choices, up going, sliding down, but never let go of the divine. Keep the aspiration alive, keep the surrender active. Never let go, what is the use? Never give up. जो डर गया वो मर गया. जिसने give up कर दिया वो खत्म. It's a long journey, one has to be prepared for that, yes. Okay, so it's lovely, yeah.
1 hour.
Yeah, we didn't realize, yes. And of course, we can always continue anytime. You are most welcome. Jai Ma, Jai Ma.